Hi and welcome to Coding with Jesse. I'm Jesse Skinner and today I'm going to be adding a feature to Hoverboard. So Hoverboard is a Flux store library that I wrote, and I've been thinking for a long time about how to sort of combine different stores, have use the data from several different stores and combine them into a single store. So I'm going to add a feature today I'm going to call Compose, and it's going to do just that. So I thought it'd be interesting maybe for you to see my process in adding a feature, the process in developing the feature with test-driven development, and the process of publishing a new version of Hoverboard as well. Alright, so the first thing I like to start with is creating an issue for the change I want to make. So I'm going to go to Issues here on GitHub, and maybe I should start off with a little bit more of an introduction of Hoverboard if you're not already familiar with it. So Hoverboard is something I developed, Flux store. So it works really well with React.js. And the idea with Flux is that you have state for your application, for your web page, basically. So state could include basically all the data on the page. And you have the state being passed into your React application. So what Flux is that the state is flowing in, and then when the user interacts with the page, it sends out actions, which get passed back to your store, and that updates the state. And instead of mutating the state directly, instead of when you click something you change a variable directly, these actions kind of control the flow, and you have this single flow of data that flows down into your app and then back up through these actions, change the state, and then back through your app. So a simple example of Hoverboard is here in the README. Basically, you pass Hoverboard in an object like so, and inside that object there are a number of actions, and each action receives the state, the existing state, and then it receives one or zero more arguments passed through, and then you can use those to return the new state or modify the state and return it. And then you can have listeners. So when you call Hoverboard, it returns a store that you can call actions on and pass it values or arguments. And then later, your React app or whoever can listen to the store using passing a subscriber to get state. And then every time the state changes, it's going to receive the new state and then be able to pass that into your application. So what I want to be able to do is have more than one store in my application, and then maybe combine those stores into a single app store, for example. Not to be confused with the Apple App Store, but what I mean is a single store for my application that combines data from a bunch of other stores. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'm going to create an issue for this, so new issue, and I'm going to call it composition. And so what I'm going to explain is sort of what I want to achieve here. So it's always been challenging to combine multiple stores. The only way we could achieve this is by adding a bunch of subscribers to each store and then triggering actions on the main store to combine the data. I have an idea for a feature that could be built into Hoverboard to make this much easier. For example, let's say you have a game. So I'm going to write a quick example of what you might do with a game. So let's say you have a score store, and that might look like add, well, there'll be an init where you start off with initial score, and that basically returns the score. And then you'd have add, so every time you get some score, actually these are wrong because you're going to receive the state, so I'll add that there and here. You would return state plus the new score, so you'd just add in that. So if you have a score store, let's say, and then maybe you have another store for your health store, and then I'm just going to copy these because it's basically the same thing. So you'd start off with initial health, and then let's say instead of add, you take a hit. So amount, you lose some health, so subtract that from the state. And then you might want to combine these stores into a single app store for your, or let's call it a game store because that's confusing, for your game. And currently you'd have to do this. So if you had a game store, so we'd need a way to set, we'd have like a set score, return score, and then I'll just copy this, and then you'd have like set health, health, and then you'd have to subscribe to both stores. So you'd have to go health store dot get state, and then whenever that comes in, you'd have to call game store dot set health, and then you'd have to do the same for your score store, dot set game, set score rather, score. Okay, so actually what I'd like to do is just test that this code works at all. Doesn't really matter, but I'd rather my examples be useful just in case. So what I'm going to do, way I can set this up is by, I think I can go to localhost coding with JSC hoverboard. So I'll just go to my example page, and then I'll just paste this in the console because I already have hoverboard there. Alright, so something went wrong. That's good to catch. What was it? Oh, this wasn't supposed to be a function. So, whoop, go back to my, where did I pass that in? I wrote function here. Okay, I'll get rid of that. And is that good enough to fix the error? So if I take that out, that works. So it should be able to go dot init 10 dot hit 5 and health store should return 5. Yep. And I should be able to go score store dot init 0 dot add 100, and score store should return 100. Perfect. All right. That's good. I just realized that my capitalization's messed up here, so I'm going to make my stores lowercase. So this one too, and this one too, and these as well. And I'm just going to test that this works too. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So game store Yeah, it has the health and the score. So this is combining. By adding listeners, these get called right away. So if I if I add another 50, then my game store automatically has 150. So that works, but let me show what I'd actually like to do better. So this isn't too bad. It's just kind of verbose, and I end up writing it a lot because I want to be able to combine different stores. I want to be able to split up my code into different modules, and combining the results is kind of hard right now. So this works, but what I'd like to do is make it easier to compose different stores into a single store. Here's what I'm thinking. So what I'd like to do, and this isn't going to work because I haven't written this yet, but I'd like to be able to go game store equals hoverboard.compose, pass it in an object, and instead of it being actions, what I want to be able to say is score, take that from the score store, and health, take that from the health store, and that's it. That's much simpler to understand and to write, and I think it'd make life much easier using Hoverboard. Alright, so that's pretty much it. One thing I've thought about too is that the way I'm going to write this, you should be able to pass in other stuff into here. So let me make a note, some other notes. So I'm going to say you should be able to pass in an array of stores, an object of stores, a single store, which would just be proxied through, or a static value, and have it set the state permanently of the store. So another point I want to make is when only the immediate members of an object should be subscribed to. It's only stores that are the immediate members of an object should be subscribed to, but you should be able to use hoverboard.compose inside your object to do nested structures, for example. And so what I'm talking about is maybe game store would look like this. So we have score store, but maybe we also have I don't know, character, and then inside there, or what I mean to do is that you create a store basically in place and then compose another one. So maybe the health store is in here. So that should be doable. And then you should also be able to I also want to be able to just pass arbitrary functions to do other stuff. So maybe you want to subscribe to a promise or something like that. So let me make a note of that. You should also be able to pass in arbitrary functions and basically receive a set state function to use with promises or callbacks for async purposes. So what I mean there is maybe async store something, and I don't know, so user, and it'll get past a set state, and then do some new, I don't know, load user from server, and you get back an error and a user, and then pass that set state user. So that should be doable. Should be able to do something like that. All right. So that's pretty much it. That sort of outlines what we're going to do here. I'm just going to preview the markdown, make sure that it actually looks right. I won't proofread it too much. Hopefully I got it correct. It all looks pretty much fine. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to submit this issue, and then that'll create the issue. Maybe we'll receive some comments while I'm making this video. Who knows? So basically the next thing I'm going to do is get started creating some tests and actually writing some code.